One broadcaster reported the death of a man who is alive. One captain took the field hours after being told he'd stand trial. And one player was sent off for covering his mouth. This week at the World Cup, the biggest stories broke off the pitch. Let's get into them. The first issue was a media failure. On June 18, on a live show on the Argentine streaming channel Luzu TV, host Florencia Pina told viewers that Lionel Messi's father, Jorge Messi, had just died. In the middle of the World Cup, even suggesting Messi might have to leave. The claim spread across social media within minutes. The problem, none of it was true. The Messi family quickly issued a statement. Jorge Messi, 68, Lionel's father and longtime agent, is alive, being treated for an undisclosed health issue, under medical supervision, and recovering. The family criticized the speculation around his condition and asked for their privacy to be respected. The story landed with extra weight because, 2 days earlier, Messi had looked visibly emotional after the first of his 3 goals against Algeria, and afterward said the reason wasn't about football, which only fueled the rumor mill about his family. Pina apologized, saying she was deeply ashamed to have been the vehicle for this pain, and explained the information had been fed to her during the live broadcast as if it were verified, and that she had trusted it. She took responsibility and stepped away from the show. Luzu TV said broadcasting sensitive information without proper verification was unacceptable and parted ways with everyone responsible. Even Argentina's president, Javier Milei, weighed in with criticism, and the story snowballed. A single line of unverified information became, for one family, the cruelest kind of lie. And this week, the weight off the pitch didn't stop there. The second story is a legal one, and one to handle carefully. Achraf Hakimi, Morocco's captain and a Paris Saint-Germain defender. On June 19, the Versailles Appeals Court confirmed that Hakimi will stand trial on a rape charge. The case dates to 2023, when a 24-year-old woman reported being raped at his home in a Paris suburb. An investigating judge had earlier ruled the case should go to trial. Hakimi appealed, and that appeal was rejected. One thing must be clear, this means the case proceeds to trial. It is not a conviction. And Hakimi has consistently denied any wrongdoing. No trial date has been set. The timing was striking. The ruling came just hours before Morocco's match against Scotland. Hakimi started as captain that day and posted on social media denying the allegations, saying he could finally speak. Morocco coach Mohamed Wabi backed him publicly. The team is behind him. The player is very relaxed and will show he's the best wing-back in the world, adding that it matters to the millions of Moroccans following the team. It's an unusual situation, one of the best right-backs in the world, fresh off back-to-back Champions League titles with PSG, and a key figure in Morocco's run to the 2022 semi-finals, carrying a court case through a World Cup his team treats as a genuine title bid. Again, the legal line matters. A referral to trial means a court found grounds to proceed, not that any verdict has been reached. And Hakimi maintains his innocence. On one side, a courtroom clock is running, on the other, the World Cup clock. Both are ticking over the same player. The third story is a first, created by a brand new rule. Paraguay's Miguel Almirón became the first player in World Cup history to be sent off for covering his mouth. Late in the first half against Turkey, after a foul near midfield, Almirón exchanged words with Mike Mulder while covering his mouth with his hand. And after a video review, Salvadoran referee Yvonne Barton produced a red card. It's a rule introduced for this World Cup. In a confrontation, covering your mouth is now an automatic red. The trigger was a Champions League incident back in February, when a Benfica player was accused of hiding a racist remark behind his hand toward Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr., an allegation that player denied. After which FIFA President Gianni Infantino pushed the measure through. A friendly chat is fine. The moment it's confrontational, it's a sending off. Paraguay coach Gustavo Alfaro said the rule is the rule, but admitted he fears football is becoming too strict and losing some of its essence. Even so, Paraguay held on to win 1-0 with 10 men. And that defeat left a record of its own. Turkey, back at a World Cup after 24 years, since 2002, fired off 62 shots across their 2 games and didn't score once. Going out with back-to-back losses, 30 shots against Australia and 32 against Paraguay. According to Opta, that's the most shots by any team that failed to score in its first 2 games since records began in 1966. Coach Vincenzo Mornella said his team created chances but the ball just wouldn't go in, that football isn't logical. and insisted he wouldn't blame his players. But Turkey's fans aren't in a forgiving mood, they're loudly calling for him to step down. One team covered its mouth and fell apart, another fired 62 times and stayed silent. But the last story of the week had a completely different feel. The last one is, finally, a warm story. Vozinha, Cape Verde's 40-year-old goalkeeper. On his World Cup debut, he denied Spain, the world's #1, every clear chance, dragging out a 0-0 draw and becoming one of the tournament's breakout stars overnight. Afterward, he spoke through tears about his mother being unable to attend. Kept away, it emerged, by the difficulty of getting a US visa. According to reporting, once the story spread, the US State Department stepped in to help, waiving the bond for an accredited tournament participant, and his mother was cleared to travel. So in Miami, against Uruguay, Vozinha is set to play in front of his family. His social media following has gone from around 50,000 before the tournament to over 14 million. And yet he waved it away, saying the attention makes him happy, but he's here to represent Cape Verde, and he'd rather just talk football. In a week when everything off the pitch was loud, the quietest man left the biggest echo. So, to wrap it up, this week, the World Cup was louder off the pitch than on it. A broadcast that buried a living man, a captain who played hours after being ordered to trial. A first ever red card for covering a mouth, a team that fired 62 times in silence. And a mother who cleared a visa wall to watch her son. The ball rolled on the grass, but the week's biggest stories broke off it. The World Cup, it turns out, doesn't only happen inside the lines.